any since I last saw you." "I am glad that I can say that to my father," replied Patience. "It will much please him. He said to me that he thought you capable of much higher employment than any that could be offered here, and only wished to know what you would accept. He has interest, great interest, although just now at variance with the rulers of this country on account of the murder of the king. You would, or you should have said, Mistress Patience. I have heard how much he was opposed to that foul deed, and I honour him for it." "How kind, how truly kind you are to say so," said Patience, the tears starting in her eyes. "What pleasure to hear my father's conduct praised by you." "Why, of course, Mistress Patience. All of my way of thinking must praise him. Your father is in London, I hear." "Yes, he is, and that reminds me that you must want some refreshment after your walk. I will call Phoebe." So saying, Patience left the room. The fact was, Mistress Patience was reminded that she had been sitting with a young man some time, and alone with him, which was not quite proper in those times, and when Phoebe appeared with a cold viands, she retreated out of hearing, but remained in the room. Edward partook of the meal offered him in silence, Patience occupying herself with her work, and keeping her eyes fixed on it, unless when she gave a slight glance at the table to see if anything was required. When the meal was over, Phoebe removed the tray, and then Edward rose to take his leave. "Nay, do not go yet. I have much to say first. Let me again ask you how we can serve you." "I never can take any office under the present rulers of the nations, so that question is at rest." "I was afraid you would answer so," replied Patience gravely. "Do not think I blame you, for many are there already who would gladly retrace their steps if it were possible. They little thought, when they opposed the king, that affairs would have ended as they have done. Where do you live, sir?" "At the opposite side of the forest, in a house belonging to me now, but which was inherited by my grandfather." "Do you live alone? Surely not." "No, I do not." "Nay, you may tell me anything, for I would never repeat that might hurt you, or you might not wish to have known." "I live with my brother and 2 sisters, for my grandfather is lately dead." "Is your brother younger than you are?" "He is." "And your sisters, what are their ages?" "They are younger still." "You told my father that you lived upon your farm?" "We do." "Is it a large farm?" "No, very small." "And does that support you?" "That, and killing wild cattle has lately." "Yes, and killing deer also, until lately?" "You have guessed right." "You were brought up at Arnwood, you told my father, did you not?" "Yes, I was brought up there, and remained there until the death of Colonel Beverley." "And you were educated, were you not?" "Yes, the chaplain taught me what little I do know." "Then, if you were brought up in the house and educated by the chaplain, surely Colonel Beverley never intended you for forester?" "He did not. I was to have been a soldier as soon as I was old enough to bear arms." "Perhaps you are distinctly related to the late Colonel Beverley?" "No, I am not distantly related," replied Edward, who began to feel uneasy at this close cross-examination. "But still, had Colonel Beverley been alive, and the king still required his services, I have no doubt that I should have been serving under him at this time. And now, Mistress Patience, that I have answered so many questions of yours, may I be permitted to ask a little about yourself in return? Have you any brothers?" "None. I am an only child." "Have you only one parent alive?" "Only one." "What families are you connected with?" Patience looked up with surprise at this last question. "My mother's name was Cooper. She was sister to Sir Anthony Ashley Cooper, who is a person of well known." "Indeed! Then you are of gentle blood." "I believe so," replied Patience with surprise. "Thank you for your condescension, Mistress Patience. And now, if you will permit me, I will take my leave." "Before you go, let me once more thank you for saving a worthless life," said Patience. "Well, you must come again, when my father is here. He will be but too glad to have an opportunity of thanking one who has preserved his only child. Indeed, if you knew my father, You would feel as much regard for him as I do. He's very good, although he looks so stern and melancholy. But he has seldom smiled since my poor mother's death. As to your father, Mistress Patience, I will think as well as I can of one who is joined to a party which I hold in detestation. I can say no more." "I must not say all that I know, or you would, perhaps, find out that he is not quite so wedded to that party as you suppose. Neither his brother-in-law nor he are great friends of Cromwell's, I can assure you. But this is in confidence." "That raises him in my estimation. But why, then, does he hold office?" "He did not ask it. It was given to him, I really believe, because they wished him out of the way. And he accepted it because he was opposed to what was going on, and wished himself to be away. At least, I infer so much from what I have learned. It is not an office of power or trust which leagues him with the present government." "No, only one which opposes him to me and my malpractices," replied Edward, laughing. "Well, Mistress Patience, you've shown great condescension to a poor forester, and I return you many thanks for your kindness towards me. I will now take my leave." "And when will you come and see my father?" "I cannot say. I fear that I shall not be able very soon to look in his injured face, and it will not be well for a poacher to come near him," replied Edward. "However, some day I may be taken and brought before you as a prisoner, you know, and then he is certain to see me." "I will not tell you to kill deer," replied Patience. "But if you do kill them, no one shall harm you, or I know little of my power or my father's. Farewell then, sir, and once more gratitude and thanks." Patience held out her hand again to Edward, who this time, like a true cavalier, raised it respectfully to his lips. Patience coloured a little, but did not attempt to withdraw it, and Edward, with a low obeisance, quitted the room. End of chapter 12.